lot of people are buying Louis Vuitton fragrances, in my opinion, just because it is Louis Vuitton. They're very much highlighting that this is more of a synthetic oud, it's not a natural oud and everything else like that. But what is happening, guys? Martin Martin is back again. If you do like the content, please don't forget to comment, like and subscribe. Let's get into respect of this particular video. So today, on this video, if you do like the content, again, please don't forget to comment, like and subscribe, guys. It's very important for the algorithm and it helps me keeping the videos going. Today in this particular video, we're discussing Louis Vuitton's Ombre Nomad. This is a niche fragrance. For those that don't know, I'm sure you probably do. And the video today, we're discussing why I don't necessarily feel this is something that I would be purchasing and my reasons for it. Now, this fragrance, guys, let's just get into no breakdown, because it's not a fragrance that you're just going to just pick up. You definitely don't want to be blind by this fragrance. I'm sure you probably smelled it before, but these are just my thoughts and my take on it. Just looking currently now, 2025, the current price. So the current price for this fragrance, guys, is coming in at £320, which again is not cheap for any type of fragrance, let alone, by the end of the day, this is, you could say, higher quality niche, everything else like that. Or at least, again, are you buying for the house, you're buying for the name? This is the sort of question to go into. So guys, as we get into this particular video, okay guys, so in respect of the note breakdown for this particular fragrance, straight away we're looking at argwood, incense, rose, raspberry, saffron, amberwood, birch, benzoin, and geranium. So a floral note in there as well. To me, guys, this fragrance is, I don't want to say ethanol, but this fragrance is one of those ones which again will last for a very long time. I've smelled it, I've sprayed it, I've smelled it on clothes, I've sprayed it on my clothes, to the point that again you could easily get choked out with this fragrance. It is a very, how could I say, incense heavy, holy type of scent. I do want to say it is well blended, it is smooth, it's got elements of like a creaminess, but the oud in there is prominent. If you're not into strong fragrances, this definitely won't be for you. It's not a fragrance which you can just put on lightly. And for that costing price and that particular price, £320, you won't necessarily just blind buy this type of fragrance. Now, the issue I have with this fragrance and what I've noted, what I've become aware of, is a lot of people are buying Louis Vuitton fragrances, in my opinion, just because it is Louis Vuitton, just because it has that brand. I'm not going to act like I don't have any Louis Vuitton products. It's not necessarily a bash in that way, but we have to also bear in mind as well, these type of fragrances are aimed at people who, let's say for instance, they're already buying something which may cost a couple £100, £300, whatever it may be, and they smell this fragrance. Me personally, if I was going to go to Louis Vuitton to get this fragrance, would I go there just for that? Yes, I would, if I was interested enough. A lot of other people though that are into fragrances, or let's say, not necessarily people that are into fragrances, but a lot of people who aren't necessarily fully into fragrances will be purchasing their thing, they're waiting for the person to come, and Louis Vuitton has obviously looked at the little sort of, let's say, gaps where they can pick up and make some money again, and this is another one. £320, £325 for this fragrance, is it worth it? That's down to you as an individual. For me personally, I think it's too expensive. But one thing I felt for this fragrance a little bit is that, for me, in my personal opinion and the way I find fragrances, this one is a little bit too heavy a fragrance. The oud is there, yes, but you can get oud fragrances which aren't necessarily as light. But this one here, again, I do want to say is a well-blended fragrance, don't get me wrong. Very creamy, very nice. The incense is there. Again, you can smell that rose note in there as well. And I think for this fragrance, it can work, again, in very like cold conditions. If you're wearing this in the high heat, it will be too much. So this is definitely a fragrance that you're only going to use sparingly. You're not going to necessarily need to apply that much because it is so heavy, in my opinion. Maybe 2 sprays. Maybe that might even be too much for some people. 2 sprays, wrist, that's enough. Leave it there. But this fragrance for me, guys, again, I just feel it's a little bit more of like, you know, they clearly got into the sort of, the aim was to get into the Arab market with this fragrance. The aim is to obviously generate more cash. And again, this is more of a premium one, even within their own line of fragrances. Afternoon Swim is around about £250, and this one now goes in at £320. So with that in mind, you know, is it really worth the money? And I'm just going to say, for me, no. I think there are more than enough fragrances, there are more than enough alternatives that you can go to. You don't necessarily have to spend that amount. If you want the bottle looks fantastic and everything else. And some people even sell the bottle empty on eBay, for example. So I guess it is maybe a bit of a collector's thing. But for me personally, guys, when I get this fragrance, maybe one day in the future, can I justify that payment right about now? Probably not. But at the end of the day, for me, again, as I say, it's a journey that you go through. And the more you sort of develop and go through and build up your sense and your nose and everything else like that in respect of what works for you and your skin chemistry, you'll make a decision. But one thing I want to highlight as well is that a factor is a lot of people will not be spending £300+ on a fragrance. There will be a percentage of people who do, and there'll be a percentage of people who purchase fragrance just because it's Louis Vuitton. And that's the key thing I've noticed. A lot of these fragrances that are coming out from these houses, there's nothing really there. It's just because obviously the brand image and the perception behind it, and that's what's being pushed. Nothing to do with that necessarily the fragrance. But again, I do want to stress for a very final time, this fragrance is very well done. Don't get me wrong. But justifiable for the price point, I'm going to say no. I think there are alternatives out there, guys, and I don't feel like for me, it's something that is really worth that amount of money. If you want to go and buy a Louis Vuitton bag, then that's a different thing. But you know, for fragrances, it's down to what's important for you. I think a final point I want to say, and again, just having just a few thoughts about it as well. There are some people that I've noticed as well online that are very much highlighting that this is more of a synthetic oud, it's not a natural oud and everything else like that. But you really need to be in that level of perfumery and really into that type of oud based fragrances to really know what the difference is. And in all honesty, me, guy in the street, I'm not going to even know what the difference would be. Don't get me wrong, there is, let's say designer sort of fragrances that have oud in it, and you can tell straight away, yes, it's got the oud scent, but some of it doesn't necessarily smell that well blended. And again, the actual cost of something which is a genuine oud is very expensive, but it is what it is. I mean, I'm just having a quick think and looking at different things, and these are things I'm coming across. Now, some people are complaining about the lack of uniqueness for this particular fragrance. Some people say there's longevity issues and performance issues. I can't say I've seen or come across personally a feeling of performance issues because it is so heavy. But the problem for me, again, as I say, is very dense. You only need it through sprays and you're kind of done. You can't wear it to the office. You can't necessarily wear this, you'd have to kind of be outside. Possibly an evening setting, let's say formal dinner occasion. Again, it's tiny towards the Arab market as well. But at the end of the day, it's not bad. It's just, for me, I think it's very, I don't want to say one directional, but you can only use it in certain scenarios. I think that's the key thing. Whereas other fragrances, which again have maybe a little bit lighter, they can be used in different scenarios, they can be used in different ways. This one is a very direct, I spent my money, I need this type of smell, and that's where I am. And it doesn't go any other way. I can't wear this necessarily to say to go and play sports. It's too heavy for that. I can't wear it in the summertime. It's way too heavy for that, which is fine. Are you going to invest £330 on something, and at the end of the day, you can only wear it here and there? So possibly for me, guys, as I say, this probably won't be my fragrance I'll be looking at, but it's a nice fragrance. Obviously, don't get me wrong, the bottle looks fantastic, but it's just, for me, just can't justify the sort of one-dimensional way that this fragrance would be used. There are my thoughts on it, guys. Leave your comments down below. But I think it would be a mistake to purchase this if you're really not into perfumery and into fragrances. Don't just buy it for the label, because that would be, I think, a big mistake. Peace.